we need to grant the wishes of these younger artists who don't want to be categorized as hip hop. They're hip hop adjacent, but they're really telling you I'm a rock star. He said if we start viewing this as the new version of rock or reclaiming rock, because it's black folks, we reclaiming rock. I think we're having different conversations in terms of the boundaries and standards that we're setting for them. I say that to say this: separating them separates their fan base from these annoying conversations. And also it stops us from comparing some of these artists that want to rap from those who said from the jump. Little Uzi Vert said from the jump, I'm a rock star. I'm not about to rap over none of them old ass beats, bro. They've said this from the jump. I think there's a lot of things that are like overlapping, and it's causing all that is turmoil and issue. We need to separate it and grant these folks their wishes. My thing for those rappers slash rock stars, or the rock stars they want to be, you thought it was bias here. Wait till you go enjoy that world of rock and how much they will try to discredit what you're doing as not being real rock.
I hear that, but I don't agree with separating from the hip hop culture. I do think we need to understand subgenre, at least within our culture, because we don't do that within our culture, because categories are something that was put onto us, not something that we created for ourselves. Yeah. That's the unfortunate truth of our genre, our culture. It's like we are not in charge of these categories, but if we are, you are right about the discussion thing, but Lil Uzi is part of our culture. You know what I'm saying? He is and hip hop, he's still hip hop. Travis Scott is a rapper and is hip hop. He's just part of something different, which I do agree that we could say that this is a different subgenre or this is something new and different. So we can't compare this with the same the same guidelines that we compared Doechii. Doechii wants to partake in what we're talking about. She's like, hey, you know who I'm listening to? MF Doom and Westside Gunn. Westside Gunn puts her on a track. This girl who has a chart-topping song from singing makes a song with Westside Gunn. Mm-hmm. That right there tells you where her mind is. And she has this chart-topping song, Anxiety, and she says, I'm listening to MF Doom right now. This is what I'm vibing.
But how many times are we going to have conversations about them violating rules of hip hop if they choose?
I don't have those conversations.
No, I'm just saying in general, as a society. Okay. Yes, subgenres do exist. I get that, and the whole genre idea, I think, is something that is the roots of that is definitely racism as a part of that as well. In order to separate a lot of these things. But I do feel like these artists are granting, they're asking to be separated. And the moment that they don't do something that falls in line with the parameters and the rules that we have set culturally with hip hop, they're already, the thing is, they're already outing themselves off the island. I'm saying grant them their wish, because if it was hip hop, the thing is, just because they're monetizing things within hip hop doesn't make them hip hop. It makes them colonized more than if anything else.
No, I think that's a wrong perspective to have.
What artists are you specifically referring to?
Talking about Playboi Carti?
If Playboi Carti is going to tell me right now that he is more of a rock star than a rapper, grant him his wish. If Lil Uzi Vert says I'm more of a rock star than a rapper, grant them their wish. If Travis Scott says I'm now in this phase of my rock star phase where we're mosh pitting, I'm not saying ban them from the island. I'm saying grant them their wish so that we can stop having these conversations about why they're doing things that are not aligned with the women rappers who are doing their thing, because they're categorize themselves as rappers.
I feel like them saying that, or those individuals saying that, is part of hip hop. I think that it is essential to hip hop that hip hop can imbibe anything and any sound can become hip hop. And there's not really a completely fixed center to this that we can just sort of subsume anything and make it hip hop. And I feel like genre was taught that was the industry helping the fans say, if you like X, you'll like that. And artists were traditionally, as far as me interviewing people, were generally like, I don't really care about genre. I don't think about genre. And sometimes genre is only communicated sartorially, but musically, you're not really fitting with the rest of the genre. But people want to do what they want to do, and they don't want to be held in by this is what your peers are doing, so you must do. I know a lot of people were like, I don't want to listen to anybody who would be considered in my peer group while I'm in creation mode, because I don't want to do anything that would be like them. So I see a lot of people.
I think melodic rap matters as a genre.
I think a lot of people to break out of genre is important and is considered a victory and is considered what they want to do, rather than to be constrained by the expectations of, and then it's the industry that then pulls them back in and says, okay, let's put on some pieces so that you look like you're in the genre. So you might be wearing X, the video is with this, we feature with this person, we interview with this person, so you look like you're still talking about hip hop, even though if we just did a blind taste test, a lot of people would be like, Travis Scott, that's not hip hop, but we know it is.
But see that I think we got too many. And I think there's a few different conversations. Here's my thing. I think that, hot take, we're holding them back. We're holding them back because of their connection and their adjacent nature to hip hop. I think we're holding them back. What if there was a time period? Let's take hip hop out of the conversation for just a second. What if there was a time period in which the youth said, we're going to take back rock, which is traditionally a black genre. We're going to take back rock. And because we said, wait, you can't wear pants like that. You can't do things. You can't rap. Man, when you gonna actually rap something, man, you can't come to, why the hell was Lil Uzi Vert at Ebro 9 years ago to begin with? It was my question back then. My thing is, if you separate and allow them the space to go create in that space, they don't have to keep trying to pander to the things that we're asking of them as older residents of hip hop. Let them go. Let them go, because it's a possibility.
There's no going any more than there would be leaving blackness. You can't become not black.
I'm in a rock band. Hold on. I'm in a rock band. Let me say this, because this is something that people, what you just said is why he was at Ebro. He doesn't have any other options. So I'm an actual rock band, got signed to Universal.
Why not K-Rock at the time?
Let me tell you why. He wouldn't take them. Let me tell you why. I get signed in a alternative rock band in 2013. I rap over rock music, right? Mm-hmm. So it sounds like indie music was big at that time. You know, like we're talking about MGMT, Vampire Weekend, all this stuff. That indie white rock music, we were taking that genre, mixing it with DC Go-Go, very black genre, and then I was rapping on it and singing. We put out this record. Our fans and people enjoy the music because people just want things that make them feel good. They want slaps. It gets like 100,000 views, and I'm gonna land the plane. This matters. It gets 100,000 views in like a day. I wake up to texts from every single major label around the world. This is going crazy. Because it's 2013 YouTube, right? This is going crazy. We sign a deal. All this fast track. We're recording with Dave Grohl, who's in the Foo Fighters. We're doing songs with Pharrell, Nirvana, of course. We're doing songs with Pharrell, producing it, because obviously Pharrell has his one foot kind of in that NERD rock world and all that, right?
Yeah.
But number one thing, we have these records that are doing well in radio a little bit and Germany. Number one thing that the label doesn't know what to do. We're black kids that make rock music. They had no fucking clue where to put us. Stations we're not going to stations to do radio interviews. They're like, hey, maybe you guys could do this hip hop station. Genre in our industry, especially at that time, lesser now, but still now, is very much based in race. How many rock bands that are black do you know that are mainstream? They actually don't exist.
There's TV on the radio, but it's very, very
no. That's not mainstream. That's not a mainstream band, though. But I agree with TV. It's not a mainstream band.
But it's very, very, very few. Living Color was there, but to your point, it's very, very, very few.
Coldplay level arena selling black band? No,
I mean there's very few Coldplay level artists in general. But yes, there's very, 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 very.
No, but I'm saying but there's a lot of artists that can fill an arena, and not one of them is a black band. That's my point. There's a lot of artists can feel a black actual band that comes out as a rock band or an alternative band, and that's because of how the industry was set up. Little Uzi Vert had nowhere to go if he said he was a rock artist and try to do rock things. They wouldn't accept it. They wouldn't play it on the rock stations and the alternative stations. We actually seen that. I seen that firsthand.
We're still very segregated. We're still segregated.
Whereas a white rapper's Macklemore's getting played on alternative rock radio stations, while I'm coming with an actual rock station. They're saying we don't really know what this is. But Macklemore's thrift shop is on the rock station.
I understand that. I understand why that plays the way that it does. I know the factor that race plays into that. This is what I'm saying. We're holding them back because of the biases of those who run those radio stations, those who run these labels. I'm saying if we gave more energy to Little Uzi Vert getting to a K-Rock at that point in time, I don't know many stations. I'm just saying these rock stations, even if they said no, if there was more energy put towards that than settling for Ebro, which is not settling in rap and hip hop. We know what that value of that going up to that radio station was at that point in time. This is part of the problem. This is how we invite, because hip hop is so inviting of every single person thing, and we're the only people that don't do ethical gatekeeping.
Wait, hold on. I'm not sure I agree with that. Women and white men have to be twice as good to get half as much. We are not just letting white men in. Any white man on the mic, I'm looking at you sideways from the beginning.
From the culture. Yeah, you mean from the culture, not from the industry.
I'm talking about from music. Said something earlier. There's a difference between of the culture and there's culture and culture, and there's music and music. I'm saying pushing and Uzi Vert, I keep using an example because it's the one we talk about specifically. Pushing him towards an Ebro was a mistake to begin with. It leads us to having discussions there's discussions here that make a whole lot more sense after he's become who he wants to become. He says, I'm a rock star. I'm not defending that's what you should be in rap. I'm saying if you go to Ebro, you better be ready to rap. But the problem is we're fitting square pegs inside of the circle entry. And I'm like, they're asking you to do this. I'm saying even you in the
I think
band,
it's a hard.
Even you in the band, King Green. I'm saying this: if there's not doors that are being opened, and then you're saying, well, the ones that will embrace is hip hop, they're settling, and you're purposely putting people in places where, because it's hip hop adjacent, they're being brought into the room, and this is where a bunch of assumptions are made. And then when they go off left, and we're like, "What the hell?"
You got to break those barriers.
Hold on, who they were to begin with?
No, but you got to break those barriers. So here's what I'm trying to say. I hear what you're saying. I get the larger point, but when we get to the specifics, it to me it doesn't match up in the sense of like at that time that wouldn't have been possible. But I get what your point is, because Tyler Creator came in from an indie ranks. Like a lot of the pitchforks and the alternative sides were actually messing with Tyler more than the actual core, like, mainstream hip hop. It was like underground hip hop and alternative sides messing with Tyler. Tyler built his fan base in that space, then came over when he did the album before Igor that I love, Flower Boy. When he did Flower Boy, it started translating to more of the culture, right? Then Igor, he dropped Igor and said, this is not a rap album, right? Because it really wasn't. He said, this is not a rap album. I'm giving you full pop. I'm going to give you the full thing of the pop songwriting that I can do. And then he comes back with a rap album. Tyler opened doors for this indie alternative black culture to exist now. Without Tyler, you can't get a lot of amazing rock bands that are black are coming right now. And I hope to see a black rock band, alternative band.
Pharrell more than Tyler?
Pharrell creates Tyler. Tyler creates these guys. So it's all linear. But I'm saying Tyler is the reason why someone can have this. Pharrell was in NERD, and we make a song with him because we're influenced by NERD. But there's NERD sold 500,000 in the music boom. Like with the greatest producers at the time, they had 40 records on the top 10, but their rock album only did 500,000. People didn't know how to market and push that album. That album was classic, right? They should have been doing arenas. NERD should have been an arena band in my eyes at that time. But either way, the point of What I'm trying to say is that took time, and I could see that things have splintered and subgenres have splintered. But when someone's coming from the intention of hip hop, which Lil Uzi Vert and Travis Scott are, they're not coming from the intentions.
What does that mean?
With
the
creating
intention of hip hop.
Here's what I'm saying. Hip hop is a postmodern art form. It's about creating something that doesn't have rules. It's about fighting the status quo. You're coming from the culture that you come from, which is going against status quo and saying that there is no status quo. I could take this Brazilian guitar sample, I could take this rock drum, make something out of it, and now it's hip hop. But I just took this genre, and made this. This is now hip hop, and I could sing on that thing, and it still be hip hop.
To be fair,
correct?
Are we saying that genre bending is exclusive to hip hop?
No.
So then, how can we claim that and say that is hip hop? Of the hip hop, I understand making something out of nothing. There's a lot of really hip hop concept. What I'm saying,
I didn't say genre bending was an exclusive. I didn't say genre bending is exclusive of hip hop. I said that hip hop was a postmodern art form, and a postmodern art form is the idea of challenging status quo and saying that there are no rules. So I'm not saying that hip hop is the only thing that does that.
Right, but what is the center of hip hop in the world that you are? I mean, I think we agree with everything you're saying, but then what is the center of hip hop then, if it can be anything?
The black perspective, black culture. Are we not coming? That it comes from that.
You mean
what about Travis Scott? What about Travis Scott and Little Uzi Vert giving you a black perspective?
What'd you say?
What about Travis Scott and what about Little Uzi Vert is giving you a black perspective?
Aren't they black? They're not talking things from the black perspective.
Wait, what do you say? Wait, you said black, then any black person is making hip hop, and some black people are making rock.
Just because
there's no way in hell.
Let me land it and make it simpler before. I didn't say any black person who genre bends now makes hip hop.
Right.
We understand what hip hop is. We're speaking to this culture. This culture exists here. Every rapper speaks back to the culture. I don't care who, name them and I'll show you why. Name a person and I'll show you why. Once you don't speak back to the culture, you're not making hip hop. I'm talking about with your sample choices. I'm talking about with your word choices.
Right.
Once you're having this conversation, you're a part of hip hop culture. I'm not saying that just genre bending is hip hop. I'm not saying just being black is hip hop. Okay.
I'm not trying to be. I'm not going to be purposely obtuse either when I'm asking these things.
Yeah. I just want to make sure it's clear. So when you're speaking and having in conversation with the culture, Travis is in conversation with the culture.
Yes.
It's just it's plain and simple.
Yeah. Here's my question. He's
saying, can hip hop be this also?
But very specifically, what I'm saying is, conceptually speaking, within their music, and these artists specifically with Lil Uzi Vert and Travis Scott are making songs that are speaking to a very broad audience on purpose. They got mosh pits with all kind of different races, genders, and all kind of different backgrounds. I'm saying, how many of them specifically speak to
blackness,
a black experience? Or is it just I'm black? So everything that I say is that
I can say that about rappers.
Yes, you can.
I can say that about boom bappity rappers, though.
Yes, you can.
That doesn't make them not making hip hop. So, so what's the point there, though, right?
To me, the point is, colonizers come in all colors. And I'm saying some of these folks are being boxed into being colonizers. Some of these folks are being boxed into being colonizers because they're hip hop adjacent, because first of all, they're black. And second of all, it sounds like they kind of rap. But these niggas has told us they don't want to be categorized as rappers. I'm bigger than a rapper. I'm a rock star. They told you that. I'm saying grant them their wish, and whatever they don't have access to because they chose that route is on them. But we always embrace people that leave us 10 years later, like Post Malone, who've already ate up off the genre because we so damn accepting.
That's a different discussion.
In a world where hip hop is the dominant culture in America, especially for black people, is it possible to not be in conversation as a music maker with hip hop? For example, Shabuzi is a country artist, but he definitely seems to be in conversation with hip hop. but we would not confuse him with a hip hop artist. And he's just like hip hop sonically adjacent. If we went to, who else is there?
Here's my problem with this discussion with the word hip hop, though. I have to stop you here because hip hop is a culture, correct? And that's how I always declare it. When we talk about rap and rapping and hip hop, they're two different things in my head because I'm so committed to that concept, right? So hip hop as a genre of music, to me, I don't know what you're talking about, because hip hop as a genre of music, to me, I'm like, there's no hip hop chords. Someone could play a country guitar chord and I rap over that shit. It is not country music. I just rap my ass off over some country chords. And that's my issue with the idea, because we're talking about how the attention in the conversation of how you're creating your art. So hip hop is the way you look, it's the way what you talk about, it's your dress, it's the art, it's how you see the world, correct? That's your culture. Now, I personally think Shaboozie's, first of all, I know Shaboozie was making rap songs forever. Shaboozie caught a lick. I don't care what nobody said. Very talented dude, caught a fucking lick. That nigga is from Fairfax, Virginia, Nigerian parents. Why is he making country music? Because he's talented as fuck. That's it. Then that's not his culture at all, guys. He caught a lick. And he rapped on the second verse on that shit.
Give me an example in your mind of the difference between hip hop and rap, and where, and not like in names, not in adjectives, but where do you see, okay, this person or this album exists, or this song exists in rap and not in hip hop, or the other way around?
Rage Against the Machine is a rap rock band. Zach De La Rocha raps his ass off. They're not a hip hop band, but I know that that's not a hip hop band. Rage Against the Machine is not a hip hop band.
They're not in the culture, but they use
at all.
Rap.
That nigga only raps. Zach De La Rocha only raps. Rappity rap.
Okay.
And they're not hip hop.
Okay.
So you can rap and not be hip hop.
Okay.
A black example of someone that raps and doesn't make hip hop. A lot of people that are like in the rock adjacent space, like there's a Fever 99 where the dude lead vocalist is a rapper, and he that's not hip hop. There is my band is not hip hop. I be rapping, but I'm hip hop. But my band isn't. I want to go to someone and be like, this is hip hop music. So I feel like it's very possible. And if I look at the top 40, I'm looking at people, I'm like, yo, they produced this in a hip hop way. They did this like this person's stealing from hip hop. This person's stealing from hip hop.
Who's stealing from hip hop? Call them out.
Everybody. Everybody.
Name.
Not saying it. Not saying it. I write songs for a living. I ain't saying that.
Oh my God.
Can I make one point? Can I make one point? I think the point I'm making is that I think we're putting a jacket on people who don't want the jacket, and whether or not they recognize it or not, whether or not they don't recognize the hip hop that's within what they're doing, I think that it's holding. Lil Nas X is a perfect example of it. He made that song Old Town Road, and then they immediately said, oh no, this has no business being in the country genre. Well, why the hell not? He literally made a country theme for the song, and then did damn near a cover in his own way. But they said, nah, that's hit. He don't even want that jacket. He don't want that jacket so much that he went and broke all kind of rules of of hip hop along the way. I'm saying there are people we're giving that jacket to, and it's really we're giving an education about the DNA of hip hop that's within what they do. That's cool. I'm saying, hey, you're telling me I don't like that thing that you guys keep saying. I don't fuck with that. Okay, cool. Take the jacket off. Recognize that no matter what you're doing, it's in the DNA of what you're doing anyway.
I hear what you're saying.
Go deal with it over there. Stop coming over here and eating up off of all of the goods from here. And then when you're done eating all the natural resources, then you go leave and then go reinvent yourself and be like, I ain't like that shit to begin with. We know you didn't because you told us.
You can't.
What do you think of Andre 3000 though? Love Below.
I think
is that a hip hop album?
No, that is not a hip hop album. That has hip hop elements, but it's not a hip hop album.
I can't deal with that as a reality in anyone's brain personally. Love Below not being a hip hop album to me is saying that Lauryn Hill's albums is not a hip hop album. But
Is
I think my
Miseducation
problem
a
is
hip-hop album?
here's my problem. Here's my
Hold on.
problem.
Go ahead.
Here's my problem. Because I'm saying hip hop, and I think that personally, I think there's hip hop the culture, and then there's these subgenres of music within hip hop the culture, and I wish it were like that. But I understand from you guys, you're saying no, Lauryn Hill she was singing and all that type of stuff, so that's not thought. But I would just completely disagree with you. And the person that starts their album with a diss track made a hip hop album. You just lost one. That's a hip hop album.
Wait a minute. Let me retort this. You trying to tell me the same project that had Hey Ya, the same project that had Roses, the same project that had Prototype, you gonna sit? I know that Andre 3000 is hip hop. There's no, I'm not talking about, you're talking about to the chat, really. There's no denying that this man is of hip hop royalty, but he didn't go in there with the intent of making a hip hop album. We just claim everything because of our pride of him. He didn't make a hip hop album, even from the production, from the drum choices. Those are not drums that we're using on MPCs. Those are not drums we're using when they're making instrumentals for hip hop.
I think that's restrictive.
What he's making, it's not restricting. What he's making is what he wanted to make, which is outside the confines of what we have expectations as hip hop listeners. When I listen to Prototype, that's not hip hop. He's a hip hop artist who is going outside of whatever expectations we have of a rapper. That's not
he's hip hop art. I think he's a hip hop artist that made a hip hop album. Is it a rap album? No, I would never call Love Below a rap album. But that's what I'm saying. I think the words, I think the way that I'm trying to define hip hop for myself is different. But I do agree with you in the idea that we can be restrictive because we're just kind of doing it here. You can be restrictive to this person by saying that this is hip hop. Where are your boom bap? Where's your snares and MPCs? Why are you, Lil Uzi Vert, singing? Why aren't you doing that? That's not.
Are you saying that Miseducation is a hip hop album?
No, because what
you're talking about Curtis?
No, I'm
Curtis says no.
Is Miseducation not? That's a hip hop album through and through. I think about the boom bap. See, the thing is, we're having two different conversations.
Miseducation is, but
that is absolutely.
But then Love Below is not.
One of those leans more, even doo-wop. Like doo-wop, you're getting that chorus, but the majority of that, you're getting her barring up. You're getting that over boom bap drums. It leans in more to being a boom bap hip hop aesthetic. I think we're having two different conversations.
Boom bap is not necessary to be hip hop, right? Travis Scott is not boom bap, and that's hip hop, right?
He has boom bap drums in a lot of his songs, though.
But he doesn't need to, right? I mean, it's Future's hip hop, right? We're doing that.
No boom bap on trap songs. That's what I'm saying. Genres are restrictive, and to use hip hop as a genre, to use hip hop and state it only as a genre, to me feels restrictive of the culture. And then thinking of something as, it's like, this type of snare is now hip hop. I can use whatever genre. If I take a bossa nova beat and start rapping over it, it can be hip hop. It depends on how you are using it in the conversation.
I hate to say this, and I'm gonna get canceled for this. There's a possibility that somebody in Brazil who listens to that can say, "Then you colonizing." How you gonna take that because you rapped over it? All of a sudden, that's yours, and that's hip hop now. No, this is bossa nova that we created the instrumentation over. And now because you rapped over, all of a sudden, that's hip hop. That's ours now.
I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
I'm the New Yorker in this conversation.